then we've got this bread. I think I'm going to try this, Gertrude.
Yes.
Like good stuff.
I'm sure it's better if I can eat it.
Do you want some of that now?
No, thank you.
Leave that there then.
Bread is good.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And this kind of cheese, it's not much left.
I don't think so. I think I'll just have it like it is.
Yes? There is some more cheese. Where did I put the other one? So, then here is some
Great.
ham.
I'll help myself. Thank you very much. Any milk for you?
Oh, it's
No milk? Do you take?
sugar. Not always, but sometimes. Some much.
We're lucky to be able to sit out today.
These are two of the paintings which we have in, you know, one in my, in the Viennese costume, and Magda it was called a dance, the joy of dance or something. And she painted that.
Oh.
She was very well known too. She was a woman, Russian painter, and married to an Indian. And she painted Magda, and she painted me. And no, he takes coffee, I think.
I can go and get you some hot water.
No, that's okay.
We can make some fresh one.
No, I was expected to be on the camera there, so this is a break. I wonder where we have.
How does some bread, which I got yesterday, and I kept it in the fridge, or what happened, I do not know. It is so hard that you could not even cut it. She was brave enough to take a big knife and try to cut it.
But you
That is
know,
the bread.
this is the kind of bread, if you ate this all your life, you'd probably have really healthy gums.
Yes, because you make use of
Yep,
it.
exactly.
But I don't think I could do it now with my
No, probably not.
treatment. No.
Probably not. So Gertrude, tell me about the people you met in India.
In India,
India, yeah. Who were some of the...
well, my relations were in diplomatic service, and very interesting too. And then I met one of the dancers whom I really loved very, very much, because she was a wonderful dancer and a wonderful person. Was Menaka. Was not her real name, but the dance name. And she was married to a very interesting man. He was the head of the Hafkin Institute. And the Hafkin Institute is an institute which made serums for snake bite, plague, cholera, and all these things. And she was a very good dancer, and she started again, because the dance in India was more for the prostitutes, for the dancers in the temples.
Oh, really?
And she started again to make it an artistic business.
Yeah.
And that was really wonderful.
Yeah.
And I went to her school, and I took various classes, and Magda too. Magda came 1 year later than I am to India. And in her school she had various dancers, and the dancers were teaching various styles of. And there is one is Kathak, that is this. Manipuri. Bharatanatyam. These are the main things.
Very exotic.
Yes. And very different. And you know that I made a dance up. choreography for Karin,
Yes.
and it's called The Garden. And this is based on a poem by Rabindranath Tagore.
Oh, yeah.
And I met Rabindranath Tagore also, but very short only, and a very famous woman who was then the minister of something something. These were quite interesting people, of course.
What did you think of Rabindranath Tagore?
Rabindranath Tagore, well, I think he was very interested to show the life of the people in India, in the country. Most of the stories I know are the stories of country people, of girls who love the cow and these things.
Yes.
And well, I didn't know him too well, just met him.
But sometimes these people have an aura about them, you know?
Yes. No, he was one of the most known, I would say, poets in India, not only in India.
Outside, yeah.
This was Rabindranath Tagore. Magda came 1 year later than I am to India. We came for her to the boat. She was already very excited about, and in a few hours later she went already to the dance classes.
Was he an
And
old...
I met, of course, the dancers, Udi Shankar and Ram Gopal. Ram Gopal came to the studio, and with Magda and myself, we talked about the dance, and we showed them our style and what we did. And Ram Gopal was very interested, and went on and on and on, and then his secretary, or what he was called, came and said, "Ram, you have to go. You have a dinner now with the Maharaja of Udipur or somewhere, and you have to go. You can't go on here." He said, "Oh, I don't care for the Maharaja. I'd rather be with the Hanovas."
Wonderful!
Yes. And
Not
then,
many people turn down a Maharaja.
yeah. And we then danced once on the stage for some charity, and he was at the very time, on the very stage.
Wonderful.
And Udi Shankar, my husband, was a student of the Cambridge, of the St. Catherine's, Cambridge. Yeah. And he knew Udi Shankar, and Udi Shankar wanted some money, and they made some collections for him, to get some money for him. His partner was a French girl. Was she called Simki, something like that? She died, I think, and he died. And he was very well known at the time when I met him. But then he was to come here, to Vancouver, and give a performance here. But he was then, I think, too old and not well, and soon afterwards he died.
Lost opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I'll put on the hot water so you can add a bit to your coffee.
So he got around.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did.
But he particularly spent time in England and in America, not a lot of time, but it even has all of his addresses where he lived. And it was in my area of London that he was living.
Oh,
or
I
staying.
see.
Yeah,
Well.
in Hampstead.
Well.
where?
Hampstead.
I lived once in Hampstead.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, so did I. Small world.
It
eh?
is a small world.
I like Hampstead, it was very nice.
Yes, I was in Swiss Cottage, which is sort
So
of...
was I.
Yeah, exactly. I think I remember. Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny that when he was in England at one point, according to an article, he I guess wrote an impromptu screenplay and decided that he was going to make a movie in England and star in it.
Unusual?
I don't think it ever happened, but yes, I will. Thank you. It must be,
What? Bread?
I guess those there.
A biscuit?
Yes, thank you.
Milk? This time I have milk.
Yes, I put some in, thanks. How does yoga figure into your work?
Why I studied yoga? No, I did Central European exercises in Europe. And I did dancing. First of all, my mother again, she started when we was very young. I think I was 5, Magda was 3. And she started, I think I told you that already, we were in a little town and there was a bigger town, a very well-known town, Pilsen, which you may know because of the beer, Pilsen beer. And there was a dance teacher and he came every week to our place and taught us minuet and Scottish high, this and all sorts of things when we were very so young. And then she was very interested in dancing herself and she did show us all sorts of fantasy things. Then came the war, 1914, the first war, and we went to Karlsbad, which is now called Karlovy Vary in Czech. And we took classes then from a master, dance master, who was Dag Gross. I don't know who you know, if you know who is Dag Gross. Dag Gross is a very famous, not so much a dancer, but he is a musician, and he wanted that the musicians should know how to move and how to feel like a dancer would do. And he had also a dance school. And later, much later, when I came already back from the places, I went to, it was already very much later than the Second War, close to Vienna, there was a place, Luxembourg. It's not Luxembourg, this is the famous one, but this is Luxembourg. And there was a school by Dag Gross. And I have lots of pictures of that. And that was very famous fellow. And then I started to get some ballet classes from a ballerina who came to Karlsbad, and she was teaching the actors and actresses in various dances, made also choreographies. And she gave classes, and I had classes too. And Magda was always imitating me and making fun of me in a very humorous way, in very pleasant, humorous way, and everybody was always laughing very much. And then came a dancer, Rita Sacchetto, an Italian or a Spanish dancer. Anyhow, she danced all Spanish dances only, Spanish dancing, you know. And she told Magda, I can't understand why you make always only fun, because you are so good. Then from that moment on, she started to be more serious and started classes. And she took classes with a very famous dance teacher in Berlin. His name was Terpis. And she was so good that he didn't want to let her go. But my mother died and Magda came back home. Otherwise she would have gone on perhaps and became a member of his things. And I went to Vienna, and my dance teacher was Cherry. She was Italian, and she was always sitting in a white petticoat, embroidered, sitting in the third position. This is the third position, I don't know whether you can see that. The third position, had in a long stick, tacked like just very much like the pictures are of Degas. And with this stick, she was giving, first of all, the rhythm, which was important for us, of course, to execute the exercises at the bar. And then if we didn't do very well, she had a long stick and she just turn it, turn the leg, turn the arms, turn this, turn the head. And we enjoyed it. And I enjoyed that classes very, very much. And when we came down and we had our slippers, ballet slippers, in the pocket, and when we came down the hallway in front of the opera, there were already men standing there waiting for us. Didn't interest me at all, but some of the girls thought it's important to make friends with these rich people, because it was mostly people who were rather rich and wanted to have what we called ballerites.
Oh, yeah.
So they like to do that. But another story of this was also when I was accepted, and I was the very first time to the opera. And at the opera door, at the back door of the opera, of course, at the back door, there was a porter, and he was very strict to see who is coming in and who is going out. I thought when I come in as ballerette, say a special acknowledgement. And I came in and I said, I am a student now for Madame Cherie. And he said, all right, go in. I was very disappointed, and I said, how far should I go? He said, it's the fourth or the fifth. He said, the fifth level. And I went in the first one. There were people ironing costumes like for Schiller or some very important operas, The second one, there were some dressmakers. The third one, there were some other people who had to do something with the opera. And the fourth, they were the dancers. And it said Spiegelsaal. Spiegel means mirror. In German, Spiegel means in English mirror. And I thought, mirrors must be wonderful. And I imagined, of course, a room with lots of mirrors. Here they have got some, the Joe people, and so they have got lots of mirrors now. But at that time, and I was really, like that, excited. I knocked at the door, and they come in, and I went in, and there was one broken mirror. And then there was a pianist whom I didn't like because he played so monotonous and all the same things. And I loved classical ballet, classical music as such, and that was, of course, very, very uninteresting music. And when Magda was taking classes, she sent home pictures of herself, saying, now I would like you to see what I look like. And she made herself out with all sort of muscles coming out, and because she had so much to train, that she felt that her muscles must have been like that. And she was always good in jumps, could jump very well, and I was more in exercises on the floor. So, but in choreography we always met, and she had her ideas, I had my ideas, but it was always quite good to come together. And we loved our studies, we loved it. It was very nice. But then came the man, her man and my man. Her man was really a student, she knew from childhood on. So she knew him for a long, long time. But that didn't prevent her from getting a divorce later. And I had quite a different experience because my husband was a Mohammedan, and he took the studies in Cambridge, in St. Catherine's, to become a lawyer. And they wanted that when you marry a Mohammedan, usually Mohammedans married Mohammedans, it was, but not in their cases, not in my case. Then when the wedding is there and you get all these sort of presents, furniture and everything or whatever you get, you have to take it to a place where the Aga Khan was. How do you say to find out the price of it?
Yeah.
And they tell you then how much it is worth, and you have so and so many percent to give to the Aga Khan. And I said to my husband, that is out of question with me. So he said, you are right. I said, I am not going to do that. If I want to give, yes. And he said, so my husband said, but they gave the money of he gives it lots to charity. I said, I can give to charity myself. I don't need him to do that with my furniture or anything.
Incredible, eh?
They were also standing in front of their houses, the Mohammedan women, mostly all. They didn't wear so much saris when they were ordinary women. Of course, the society, they had saris, but they had very often only skirts and blouses, something like the north, in the north. And they always waited till the car passed. And when my husband played golf with the Aga Khan, the Aga Khan has a son. That's Ali Khan. And he was in India. And he was invited to an evening. And they are very posh evenings, you know. People are in beautiful saris and evening. And they are very posh evenings, you know. People are in beautiful saris and the Europeans in beautiful evening dresses. I was there invited too, with my husband. And we sat on the table, at a table actually, and Ali Khan was sitting not very far from me. And somehow he seemed to wanted to dance with me. And I wasn't very keen on him because I didn't like the whole family, but of course my husband is a Khoja. Khoja means he is a member of the religions. He wasn't religious at the time of the Aga Khan. So that's a Khoja. So I was sitting like that because I didn't feel like looking at Ali Khan. But Ali Khan came and danced with me to dance. Naturally, I had to dance. And he came again, and he came again. So the whole evening he was always calling for me. There were so many other women, and I was married. But that didn't matter a bit with him. So I danced with him. And that was that. And next morning, the Khoja women asked me, you were dancing with Ali Khan? I said, yes. How wonderful. Then one woman came again, and she rang again. And she said, you were dancing the whole night with Ali Khan? I said, yes, I was. Maybe touch you. So what I said, it depends where. He got married to a woman whom I knew too, because I was mixing in this sort of society, and he got married to an English woman, and then they got divorced or something, and he got married. He didn't get married anymore, but then he was of course with
Got married to Rita Hayworth.
Rita Hayworth, and then he was friendly with Patina. Patina was a model in France.
Oh, yeah.
She was very good looking, very nice. I liked her. And he had then this motor car accident, and he died because he was, I think, killed by this motor accident. That was, I think, the last. But he was not pleasant.
No, I heard an awful story about him. He used to give emerald jewelry to
Yes.
women, and he'd give them a brooch if they'd gone out together. And when they got an emerald bracelet, that told the whole world what had happened. Who wore them? That must have been dreadful. I mean,
Oh, yes.
they were branded.
Yes.
There was a story that even Grace Kelly had an emerald bracelet.
One
She
for
do?
each arm.
I knew two girls who were not married, and they were very, very keen that they should get close to him. So he invited them, but nothing much happened. They were Parsis, they were not Mohammedans.
Oh, right.
They were Parsis.
I guess he had to be careful who he married. Well, maybe not.
I don't think so.
Well, you've known them all, haven't you? You've known the high and the low.
I know, yes, I know they knew them. One of our students in Bombay made that usually because a student in Bombay. We had many students in Bombay. Magda had over 100.
Was that long ago?
Oh, well, when I was in Bombay,
Oh.
and I was in Bombay in 37, I went there, but not immediately. I took classes in the schools, but very soon. I was teacher in an English school, and Magda was teacher in an Parsi school. Do you know who is what Parsis are? Parsis are the people who came to India from Persia. And they are still there, and they are still mostly together. I don't think they intermarry or anything like that. And one of the Parsis, which is very rare, is a dancer. And these Parsis, one of the, I know very well from Bombay,
Oh, yeah.
and he travels very much to America, Canada, to Europe. He's still young.
Mhm.
I don't know how long he's going to do that, but he's a Parsi. And the group was marionettes, puppets,
Yeah.
in life size.
It has the most wonderful taste. Doesn't matter if it's
Yes,
hard
it's
or
a
not.
very good taste, I know. And I was very sorry when I noticed that I could not cut it properly. You were brave
Thank you.
enough to.
I'll try some too.
So, how did you come to be influenced by yoga?
They had places where they had two little wooden walls so that people are not influenced from one to the other. And that was there in one of the things, and I went there and I wanted to take yoga there. They have a piece of cloth about that wide and enormously long, and it is hanging somewhere on the wall. And then they take this, it's not special disinfected or anyhow, not that you think nothing can happen to you. They take it in the mouth and put it in and take it down, and they clean, they say they clean the the stomach with it.
Oh, horrible.
I didn't like it. So
No,
these are
I
definitely
should
things
say.
which I have not
Mm.
taken and I'm not going to teach.
I'm
I've
sure all
never
your
done
pupils have
I've
been
never done it
grateful.
myself. I've never done it myself. Some of the things I tried to try, I thought it would be quite good, but Anyhow, when you are in India, there are so many things which you think are impossible. Beautiful things, wonderful things, but many things. The people are very, very, very much superstitious. For example, before they get married, they find out, because very often the marriages, are arranged marriages, and they are trying to get the right bride or the right bridegroom. So they've asked one of these men who should tell them who is who and what is what and how and so on. And I think this is an awful thing, because the girls are not asked whom she can marry, but it's changed a lot lately. But still there are such people.
Hmm.
What I really very much liked was going into the country, and sometimes we had trouble with the car because we had to go over water and things like that. But otherwise, when you see all these wonderful things, and we had a bungalow which belonged actually to my brother-in-law, and there was a bungalow next to it where Gandhi stayed, not the whole year long. Neither did we. We were only there always when there were no monsoons or anything like that. And he walked along the sea. There was no wall, nothing, just the sea. And then he sat down and he spoke to the people. The people sat around him. I didn't understand anything because I'm so bad in languages, as you know, and as you can hear. And my husband even gave me brought me a teacher for Urdu. Urdu is a very high class.
Hmm.
I tried a little bit.
Difficult.
It's difficult. It not for all people. Some people are so good. My husband was very good in languages. In Mataran is a word which is called, it means the jungle on the mountain or on the top. And Magda and myself, we loved that place. We very often went there without our husbands, had a good time because the husbands usually had to work and we took this time. And we always enjoyed our freedom somehow or the other. And once, so Magda she was never bothered by this, and so she thought she goes for a walk, and she went for a walk. And I did go a little, much less long walk, and came home, and she didn't come home. When the sun goes down, you have to be careful, especially because there were no tigers, no lions, but panthers.
Oh.
And these panthers came to a special little lake to get water every evening. And I was very much afraid. And of course, when we traveled, we always took our servants with us. We couldn't do without servants. And we had a cook and a cleaner, and three of them took some lamps and a stick and went to find Magda. And with the stick, they walked like that in case there are snakes. The snakes would not attack you, they go. So they went like this and with a lamp on the other side. And we heard already the dogs howling and the typical things in the jungle when you are in the evening. It's wonderful, but when you are at home. And our bungalow had steps, they were all marble because the snakes don't go on marbles. So that's good. And they found Magda. And they gave her hell. And she came home and she said, "Oh, I will not do it again," because they were so angry with me. So she said, I didn't want to do it again because she was really afraid she couldn't get out of the jungle.
Yeah.
She was not able to find the right way.
Well, not in the dark. No.
You remember I told you I didn't understand the poem, The Garden. Well, I read it last night after doing a little bit of research at the library and getting more comfortable with who he was. But what I found was a long poem about, 100 stanzas or so,
Oh,
and
did
several
I?
pages.
No, I don't know that.
Almost a
But
small book.
yes, and I was looking yesterday where I got that poem, which I gave to Karin's dancing, and I looked through all my papers and I couldn't find it. So I don't know where I really
I
had
have a
it.
copy of it here anyway, but because I thought we might read it later.
Good. Hidden deep in the heart of things, you carest for growth and life. The seed becomes shoot, the bud a blossom. The flower becomes fruit. Tired, I slept on my bed, in the illusion that the work had an end. In the morning I awoke to find that my garden was full of flowers. That's all I can say.